Hello, my name is Sharon Quinn, and I'd like to take this moment to share a few cosmic moments with you to explore some very big questions that have been haunting humanity ever since ever. They are, who am I? Why am I here? What's my soul's purpose? Does life have to be this hard? What's it all about anyway? These questions seem to compel an urgency of an answer. Then why is it that all these years later, we are still asking questions? It seems to imply that the call that compels the answer isn't being answered, but is that really true? Let's explore that.
It's on.
The implication of this asking of the question that's not being answered makes us have to ask ourselves, are we listening? Or are we listening but we don't recognize the answer when we hear it? There are some universal axioms that seem to be guiding us with these questions. Know thyself. Physician, heal thyself. These pretty much make clear that the answer is within ourselves, not something that we need to be seeking externally in the outside world from somebody else to give us the answer. We already carry the answer within our hearts. We want to look at that, don't we? Since the answers are in our heart, that means the knowing indwells in our heart. That equals knowing. So your knowing is in your heart. And that is what we call Gnosis. Gnosis is a state in which it is purged of all false ideas, and it is coming and being informed from just one source. That source is yourself, your creator, your deep abiding essence is informing you. It is not of beliefs, it is not of theories, and it is not of doubt. It is an undivided gap between you and your original source. It is comfortable. It is a state of communion. We call that SELFGnosis, the self of your higher self, informing your smaller, little personality self, so that there is this one communion within you. Now, this does take us to another interesting idea, and that is of God. I'd like to explain to you what I don't mean by God and what I do mean when I use the term God. It is a highly charged word, and one which it is really important that we explore so that we're on the same page. You know where I'm coming from, so we don't, what I'm talking about does not get filtered through all this other stuff, which I'm specifically going to make clear is not part of what we're talking about. Okay, for the scope of this discussion, I don't want to imply a God of religion or definition by any belief system. Okay? We're talking about a God who is not anthropomorphic. And I'm going to emphasize this by stressing the nots initially. It is not a God who pits one sect of human beings against another as being more special or more right or better than. Absolutely not. We are not talking about a God who is judgmental, sitting there with some kind of checklist. Santa Claus, who's right, who's wrong. We're not talking about a God who somehow made this beautiful, perfected nature, but somehow screwed up on the human aspect. They're flawed and got some nasty qualities. Not talking about that either. We'll not be talking about a God who believes his children are guilty till proven innocent. Not talking about a God who looks at his creation or any part of his creation as being full of sin. Or of a God who is really interested in being right or might. Absolutely not. Not talking about a God who is demanding perfection of anything or anyone. Anything. Not talking about a God who favors one clique or religion or club over anything else. A God who sees everything as equal. This God is not a willy-nilly lover of you, who will love you if you get things right, or if you should obey, or if you should give that perfect blind faith. unquestioning, mindlessly. We're talking about a God who has only one expectation, and that is that we are one. Please come home. Please come home. Okay? So, what is this God I'm talking about? The God I am talking about is of completely without form, is absolutely infinite light and love, is more of a verb and an awareness quality or an energy than anything. And even is not really an energy, but that's about the best for relating, because we have to be able to relate. This God is intimate with us. This God is every atom, cell, and electron of our being. Breathes our heart, breathes my heart, breathes your heart. Breathes your breath, beats your heart, my heart, your heart. This God does not understand our infighting and our hating, because we are one. We are of the same essence. This God that I'll be talking about through SELFGnosis, that's informing you in your heart, this God is of infinite light and love. We are made in the image of love, the image of God and light. God is not made in our human image. This God that I'm going to be talking about here is a God of Gnosis, which is really a God that is universal, God of all of us, and has never broken communication with any of us, ever. And that means you, from the beginning of time to where you are in present time. This means that this God has been delivering us messages. Our original source has been informing us how to come home and to remember who we are. Telling us who we are. That is Gnosis. Our Gnosis is to know thyself. And to know that I am original source, which means what? Spirit. However, when I say that, a lot of people coming from different various texts and religions would say, well, I'm not quite sure that's what that says. So what are you talking about? How has this message from this God been the same? Well, let's think about that for a moment. God has been talking to us through all our different cultures and our different levels of sophistication or lack of sophistication to where we are now as modern man being very sophisticated, and has been giving a message to meet the level of intelligence and training, because that's what love would do. Meet you where you're at. Would talk to you in your cultural terms, meeting you where you're at. Well, in the process of taking this universal same message, what we have been doing is we've been focusing on how we're special, unique, the one, the only, the best, and in the process of our distortion of understanding about how we're one and being more interested in how we're different, we started encoding this information and preserving these wonderful messages. And we started making them uniquely ours and different from other people's messages. What this has done is this has caused us to be fractionated as a race. The original one that we come from is now seen as many diversities. And each one's trying to get on the throne of being the right one. The king of the mountain. I got the right answer. Okay? How we get around this and get back to Gnosis is to see how these diverse messages are really one message. And we do this by reducing them down to see that same universal thread that is repeating through all of them, and see how that one message is really saying the same thing. And it is on that that we can come back and regain our communication with each other and with God itself, because we are at one with this infinite source of light and love. And light and love has one intention: to bring everything back into a unity of oneness. And as we explore SELFGnosis, we're going to explore how we have always been a unity of oneness. We just got confused. And we have forgotten what we've always known. Therefore, Gnosis is the answer. We are remembering, reconnecting, first within our own heart, with the Gnosis, then we begin to realize my Gnosis is your Gnosis.